Thursday, January 13th at 10 a.m. If you would, please stand and join me in a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Father, we thank you for the city of Clewiston. We thank you for, Lord, being able to come together and about your business and the city's business. We ask and seek your wisdom on every decision. We thank you, Lord, for every citizen that's represented here today. And Lord, just help us to serve them and to serve you, Father. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ask Ms. Birch to do the roll call.
Mayor Penn,
Yes, here.
Heisler, Commissioner Evans,
Here.
Commissioner Gardner,
Here.
Commissioner Wood,
Here.
City Manager Williams,
Here.
City Attorney Brandenburg.
Here by phone.
I'm sorry. She's here.
Say here. Sorry.
If I could, I'd like each CRA Advisory Board member that's here, if you would just stand and introduce yourself. We have a new commissioner, and make sure everybody in the room knows who is representing the board.
I don't think there's anyone here, Mayor.
Oh, nobody's here at all. Okay. Okay, just checking. I'm going to interrupt the agenda just for a moment. I asked Josh Carter to come here because he has a special invitation for the city commission and manager and even some of the directors. So Josh, do you want to come up and let us know what's happening at the fair?
First, thank you all for having me this morning. I know y'all are busy, so I won't take up much of your time. We have the fair coming up, February 7th, first day of fair. It's going to be a big fair this year, 10 days long total. I think last year it was 4 days, if I'm not mistaken. So we're trying to kind of revamp everything, kind of get it, a better fair. We have better vendors, a new Midway vendor that's coming out with a lot of updated rides and new rides, things like that. I'm taking over the Cook Shack this year. Being that it's a 10-day fair, we're kind of trying to get the Cook Shack back to what it used to be with the big, juicy hamburgers, kind of like everybody remembers it. I've reached out to different organizations, the middle school, the high school, the FFA, the 4-H. I'm giving everybody an opportunity to kind of volunteer to work a 4-hour shift in the Cook Shack. We've got, like I said, the middle school, the high school. I think First Bank's going to work a couple nights. Everglades Federal Credit Union, Rotary. And we wanted to give the city commissioners a chance to work a shift. I think that would be good to have, you in there interactive with the community, letting people talk to y'all, see y'all in there kind of working and stuff. I thought that would be a good opportunity. So wanted to extend that invitation to y'all to see if y'all would be interested in doing
What
it.
show
dates are
up.
still available?
If I show up, we're going to have a contract, no talking about utilities.
We can do that. We can do that.
And we don't
I'll
have to
stand guard
cook.
at the door. We'll cut it off before it even gets to
Actually,
that
don't have to
point.
cook, right?
No cooking. Cross Training Ministries is going to help out again this year. They're going to be doing all the cooking. Of course, I'll be back there with them, kind of helping them out. Basically, it'll be grabbing the food after it's prepared and bringing it to the people.
In the orders, we'll take the orders.
We have 2 ladies that'll be working the registers, taking the orders.
Okay.
It'll basically, you'll be making drinks and grabbing the food and serving it to the people.
Being runners.
Being runners, yep. It'll give you a chance to see. You'll be the face of the Cook Shack, I guess.
Fun.
You could say.
And what dates did you say? I know
The date that we had left, I know I spoke to Jimmy, told him we were kind of, I'm trying to get it all in line, so we had a couple dates left. We had Saturday, February 8th from 6 to about 10 p.m. We need anywhere from 3 to 4 people. If you have more people that want to show up, the more the merrier. It is kind of limited on space inside, so 3 to 4 people would work out great, but, whoever wants to show up, we won't turn anybody away. That's really the only day that we had left. after everybody else kind of put theirs in. So hopefully that date works for y'all.
I think it's a great idea.
The date's good with me, so.
I'll do it.
Perfect. Good deal.
I know how to
I've worked it
serve.
know my
before where
wife
we
already
had to
wrote
cook.
me.
So
Absolutely.
this is good
Yep.
that we don't
You're
have to
already
cook.
in either way.
You
so-
backdoored me on this one.
I know, I had to, sorry. But,
Okay, put it, if it's a consensus, February 8th, he can put down the city
Awesome.
commission.
Okay.
perfect. Thank y'all so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
We
All
can
right,
split
thank
the
you, Josh.
shifts.
You don't
couple
have to
hours,
stick
and then a
around, but
couple
you're
hours.
welcome to. Okay, I appreciate that. We'll resume now.
And directors, right?
Yes,
We can also, we can
yeah.
take shifts.
Lynn just volunteered.
Okay, manager, any deletions or additions to the agenda?
No changes, Mayor.
Okay, the first item on the agenda, there's a couple, just two items, is discussion regarding the Community Redevelopment Agency, our CRA, and then subsection A is the advisory board. So I'll let, manager, you can kick it off.
Sure. One of the things I do, I think, one of the things, Mayor, I think we really need to reevaluate the board and maybe even bring on some new members. That's one of the things I'm looking at. I also just want to try to kick off, we do have some projects. Hatham has something he presented to me, and I think it's an excellent project on W.C. Owen, and we'll look at that. And also, we do have the water line, and we do have about $1.3 million in the CRA. So we do have some funds. The water line project will be about $500,000, and it is in the CRA zone. But again, I think is open this up so we can start moving and move forward. We do have a person that would like to paint a mural, so we do have a few projects already in the works.
I have some questions. Okay, are any of the advisory boards' terms already up right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Close, feeling my age today. Miss R. Larson,
Yes.
he was up in 12/24. Also Lynn Walker, her term is up. So those are the two terms that have expired. And Scott Jones, he expired on 2.
Vallejo.
Vallejo in 24. So as of right now, it looks as if
Okay, I thought we had,
Filled the,
I thought we had put Scott in and,
I thought we had to,
it
Yeah.
says term, the
and I thought Lewis didn't get back in.
right,
No.
correct, he didn't.
24.
Yeah, but I think that we actually added Scott Jones back along with Lisa
Lisa.
Walker and Dr. Carroll.
Speaking of that, I have a little bit of issue with that. Having 3 people working at one site that's on a board, I don't think that's too good.
Okay.
I think it's, the sunshine law that's not good. So I would recommend just one person out of that group. That's my thoughts. I mean,
Dr. Carol, Luann, and
yes,
Lisa.
yes.
Okay.
It's-
But if Lisa and Dr. Carroll's terms aren't up, are we able to remove them? Or remove one of them anyway?
I would think so, as a board. I mean,
Okay.
you control the CRA.
Well, I don't know if maybe Dylan should opine on that, but I have a question. I mean, to me, I think from what I'm remembering from this past year before you got here, Lakeisha, is that we gave 3, we filled 3 seats.
Yeah, I remember
We
that.
filled
Yeah.
3 seats with Lisa, Dr. Carroll,
And Scott.
and Scott. And then Kirsten was also,
She's a member. yeah.
she's a board member as
Okay.
well. But I think hers was before that point. I'm not sure.
I
So
think
there's
it
7
was
seats, if
Scott.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there is 7.
It is 7.
Okay.
Well, being a workshop,
Yeah.
we can't decide today, but if we can have it by the next meeting, next Monday, I think.
Next Monday?
No, it's the following Monday this month.
Yeah.
Yes, I've got that.
Right, and then also advice from the attorney about the advisory board, if, our concerns were 3 of the well, at least two now, because the third one is off, her term has expired, right?
Yes,
The other person is Electa.
yes.
Oh, Electa's on the board too, yeah.
Yeah, Electa.
So that leaves 2 spots available?
But how many members do we have?
Because
Seven.
Lewis is not.
Right.
We do have people that we can put in there? Or that we can ask?
Well, once Lakeisha checks the dates, I think, from what I'm hearing, Scott Jones, Dr. Carroll, Lisa, Kirstine, and Electa, those 5 are on there now.
Okay,
So that would leave 2 spots.
And Dr. Carroll, you got Dr. Carroll on there?
Yeah,
He's on
Dr.
there,
Carroll,
okay.
yeah.
This
So
is the
Jones,
second I
Carroll, Lisa Walker,
It's five,
Kirsten,
one, two,
and
three, four,
Electa.
five,
Who
right?
is Kirsten?
Kirsten,
Maxon,
Randy's wife.
Randy's wife.
Maxon.
Yeah, okay.
But you can verify that through the minutes and all that. And
But then Dylan will let us know.
Still, even at that, I don't think we should have 2 board members working in the same office. I mean, that's 5 days a week. They're,
Yep.
Okay,
Actually have found how you appoint them here, if you'd like me.
what page you on? Oh, this
So-
is something different.
Oh, Travis Reese, Community Development Director, Fire Chief. So you're asking about the advisory board. So just to be clear, that's your advisory board that gives you recommendation. They have no authority other than to look at the plan, interpret the plan, and give recommendations to you on projects. That's typically how we use them in the past. I think 2017 may be the last time the advisory board actually had a meeting. But we call it the CRAB, so that's the acronym that you chose, and it was the Community Redevelopment Advisory Board. So you as a city commission, you sit as the commission for the CRA, which is, by definition, a special district. So just make that clear. I mean, sometimes that gets lost because you have chosen as a city commission, you will be the commissioners of the CRA. So that's why you have your own advisory board. So you're sitting with those hats. You're just changing hats. You're the CRA board. So the advisory board shall consist of 7 members who shall be appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the majority vote of the city commission. According to this, you have 3 of the initial members shall be appointed for 2 years, and 4 of the members shall be for 3 years. And thereafter, all members shall be appointed for 3-year terms. Members shall elect a chairperson from their membership. They shall reside in Hendry County, or they shall work in Clewiston. So you gave a little out there. So if they didn't live here, but they did work here, they could still be on the board. They'll receive no compensation. And it says that they shall continue to exist until abolished by the CRA Commission. So they have their terms, they're going, so you can, if there's any problem whatsoever with who's on the board, who's not, you can always abolish and reappoint at the same meeting. So,
okay.
so I just wanted to make that clear, to make sure what you had there. Other than that, just follows regular procedures, but.
So I mean, I've always been told that since they're an advisory board, they can't go out into the community and make decisions or make, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that,
They
correct?
present it to you.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
All right.
And typically how it worked in a facade program, we suspended that in 2016. That program, we would set a time for applications to be received. That board was instrumental in looking at those projects and then ranking them and then sending them to you for approval. They could not approve them. But as you imagine, when we started that, it was a $5,000 per applicant, $10,000 per building possibility to get improvements. We had quite a few applicants. And, so those applicants would come forward, they'd be selected by that committee. So it took you out of the loop as far as weeding through ones that may not fit the plan, for blight, improving certain corridors, making sure they're in the CRA area. And then they'd rank them and then bring them to you and say, here, we recommend these. Of course, it's still up to you to approve or to spend any of that money how you want to spend it.
So
But
the
that was their role.
facade
Their role was not to meet with folks, not to go out and
solicit projects the way you were using. That doesn't mean that you can't. You organize these folks how you want to. But how we were using them in the past was they would actually review those facade grant programs. You gave them programs to work under. They did those programs and ranked them and brought them back to you.
But right now, we don't have that going on.
We haven't met since 2017.
In 2016, so that we don't even have an application at this point.
No, the city commission did suspend that program, so we haven't reinstated it.
But the application itself, I don't see a copy in here of the old application. Okay.
No.
Yes.
I think so.
I think we need to talk about it, but I
Yeah.
think that we have to, I mean, we should have one.
This is the old, just having an old copy, if you want to pass it down. It's pretty generic, but it would need to be freshened up. Or you could look at it, you say you like that one, you could change it. Again, you're the CRA, you could have it any way you'd like to have it. And keep in mind, remember I told you you're switching hats? There are things you can do in a CRA that you can't do as a city commission. So you can go out and partner with, with private funds. You can, take one building, make it look nice like the facade program. You can do murals, as the manager was talking about, infrastructure projects. You can get creative, as long as it's in the plan, and that plan is pretty robust. It was updated in 2010. So there are things that you can do and monies you can spend can be creative. So I keep saying changing hats because don't get locked into how the city commission works. How the city of Clewiston spends its money is very, very regimented, budgeted. This is what it's appropriated for. This is what you do, and you have rules to follow. You still have rules on the CRA, but it's more of a special district for a specific purpose. So you can do creative things. You could have a festival if you wanted to.
Well, from what
It's
I
all depends upon you as a board.
But from what I remember, the facade program really made a difference, especially on Highway 27 and in our corridors, because there's several businesses that are still looking very good from when they, access those funds. And at that time, whatever 5,000 bought over almost 10 years ago, it's not going to do anywhere near what it's supposed to do now.
Lakeisha, can I get you to email this to me? Okay, if you can find, we can scan this one maybe.
Yeah, and we have that on the server. I'll show you where you can get that in the CRA folder.
This is
Yeah, go on.
All right, thank you. And it's a workshop, so if you have any questions, you can shout.
Yeah.
Travis, can we get copies of this right now? Can you have somebody, maybe one of the ladies? Yeah. Tara, thank you. That way we don't have to, we can get one for, so maybe 6 or 7 copies, fine. Thank you so much.
So I was just going to ask a question of clarification for you. When you read that statement about how it was set up, the last sentence in there talked about it was like this until it was abolished, but I think it needs to be clarified. Does that mean you can take away someone's individual position, or the actual advisory board would be abolished? And I think that's important for them to know.
I think that's an interpretation, but I would say that if you were going to, I wouldn't take an individual personally. I would take the board.
Take the whole
If
board.
you chose to do that, I would abolish the board and reappoint it if you wanted to make it cleaner, or if there's a problem, but that's.
I just have the one concern, the 3 employees.
But I think it's
Board
fair
members.
and valid,
Yeah.
so I think like Commissioner Gardner suggested, we need to get Dylan
Yeah,
to look at how we can clean that up,
yeah,
to make sure that, we're not setting people up to violate sunshine law.
right, exactly.
We don't want to do that.
Created, and then your whereas is in your.
Well, and I'm kind of leaning,
That there are 3 individuals, well, 2 at this point, that work in the same establishment that serve on the CRA board.
CRA advisory, yeah.
Yes,
There were
Correct.
3 up until December, but now there's only 2.
Off the cuff, off the cuff, I wouldn't say it would I could see a conflict existing when decisions about their own organization. If you're okay there, I'll certainly review it though. You guys have total control over this.
Okay.
as far as that.
Well, I kind of, along the same lines, I think we should just revamp from day one, as if it's day one.
Diversify.
Abolish every single position and then get a consensus, because there's other people out there now. It's what happened in 2008 when we had our first CRA area, which was the Commerce Park, and then the economy fell. Well, we didn't have any money in the CRA for 10 years. And then we finally started getting a little bit of money. And now it's 1.3 million because it's all based on property taxes. And now we have 3 CRA areas. So with a little bit of money now, hey, we can go to town and do some things. So I think it's very important, since we really haven't had that much, we haven't done anything in so many years. We didn't even meet because we had no money. There was no point in meeting.
Yeah, I think last time,
So
about
out of that
2010.
1.3 million, we already have
17?
over,
Yeah, I'm in 17.
we already have over 500,000.
Well, we're going to cut some of that hopefully by doing in-house work, but it was an estimated, it is for MCM paints, which is in the CRA zone, and it is to install that 8-inch water line.
Here's some copies. Travis, did you get yours back? Did everybody get a copy?
Yes.
Okay, Lakeisha, did you get a copy of the?
I did.
Okay. So just so we have it close, let's say just 500,000 already projected for a water infrastructure project.
Yes,
Okay. That is not just for one area, but it serves blocks,
it'll serve a block,
a block. Okay.
Are you able to serve on the CRA if you serve on another advisory board?
would think so.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Jimmy, you were going over the 3 areas, and then we didn't have any money, but now we do, and now we're down to half of what we just thought we had.
Well, I think the
That
other
happened
projects is well under the, I mean, we did, one person would
Well, I
like a
think it's a very
mural.
important project,
Yeah.
for redevelopment. That's
Yeah.
exactly what we're supposed to be doing, is redeveloping.
Well, that lays in with the easement, converting the alley to an easement, and it is for growth. It will help the fire suppression for that particular block. I think that's North Dean Duff to San Pedro, or San Gabriel, yes.
It's more
So-
than one block.
Well, yeah,
I would like to see some of the money spent on visual enhancements
Yeah.
too.
Well,
I
I
know
asked-
that's what the mural is, but
yeah, but I asked Hatham
The
to come, because I
facade.
we need
think
a facelift.
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
particular area, his building on WC Owen,
WC Owen.
which WC Owen has come a long way. I mean, it's really updated. And I think, yeah, sure. He called me last week, and I said, yeah, I think it'd be great. So, whatever we can do to help them, I think it'd be fantastic with the car dealership and everything else in that area, upgrading it. It'd really be nice.
I'd like to see 27 updated and,
Sure.
some of the buildings, I mean, you got this color, and this color, and it's
Right.
like one building.
If that's okay. Hatham Kaki, I'm a property owner. I have the plaza on WC Owens, and this is my friend and an architect, Gabriel Lopez. He helped Melanie McGahee and Nikki Perez with the revitalization of their office, and also on 601 Alvarez, the new apartments. He came up with the design of that as well. He's projected to come up with a great plan for WC Owens. He wants to bring some uniformity to the town, so he's kind of replicating the U.S. Sugar Building on 27. He's gotten a 3D image of the building, and if there's any available funding in the CRA, we would like to move forward and as far as updating the site of that particular building, and then eventually work on that whole street. So I'll let Mr. Lopez show you what he's done, and if you have any questions.
Well, I think it will work better with images. So
It's like
this is the existing one. I will go there.
Sure.
Modern, right?
And as we talk about the WCO and corridor, I can tell you that it is, to me, one of our most important corridors,
I agree.
because our children are going to school every day up and down that corridor.
Right.
And not only that, but when people from out of town come in, not only are they going to the baseball fields,
This is the existing. one,
right?
And this is.
Okay, nice.
Well, and we have a lot of people from out of town eating in next corner.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we go in there, there's always
Right.
fishermen
And, yeah, and the thing also is that, to me, it is the gateway to the crown jewel of
Yeah, he
Hendry
sent it to
County, which
Danny,
is the
but he
sugar
also
mill
sent
and
it in an email.
refinery. And there's people that we probably don't even know that are traveling that road.
The chamber brings like
No, you're
9,000
just
people
fine.
down that road
I
a
can sit right
year.
over top of you if I need to.
So I think it's, to me, in the landscaping, which is not, I know you're not bringing that up, but
Yeah.
with the county, hi, Michael, with the county, to me, the landscaping could be improved along there, and I think that would make it a nice gateway to our economic engine of the county, because it's so important.
But I think having property owners invest at this level
Yes.
on redevelopment of
Absolutely.
existing property, I think it's important.
I agree. And there are some thriving businesses there. There's a new pizza shop coming in that'll be there. The next corner is obviously there. It's a nail salon that's doing well, and the new coffee shop that came from LaBelle family, they're doing fantastic. But the building's just old and run down, and I think we need to do. I mean, I would like to put some effort into making it look better.
And Hatham, I can tell you that on Friday, I took Senator Pasadomo to next corner for lunch, and she was highly impressed
Yeah.
of the restaurant itself, once you got inside.
Right. Once you get inside,
And-
we want to bring that
and,
outside
I mean,
as well.
and there wasn't anything outside that
That attracts it, right?
that we thought, ooh, we don't want to stop here, or she didn't, but it just, I think that something, a facade upgrade and whatever it is, I mean, it looks good on
Right.
surface there, but I think it would really enhance those businesses and the community overall.
Okay. So what would be our next step? Do we actually physically apply, or do we have a discussion with the CRA board, or do we talk to you guys directly? This is my first time doing
I
this.
think we
so-
have to
Well, I think we
reopen
have
this
to.
application.
Yeah, look at the application, and
Can
then,
I, do you have an extra one that maybe we can go ahead? This is,
And then,
this is
and-
the
and
old
what's
one.
available as far as the funding, because this project could be as small as 150 grand up to $700,000, depending on what, because he has it where he wants to take out the complete parking lot and make it pavements. He has landscaping that's in there. He has a lot of different things and ideas. So we could take it as far as we want, but we just got to understand what the budget's looking like.
I love the idea, and I love the design. It's a modern design. I would like to see the side that's close to Ventura.
Right.
And the back, because when you're driving down WCO and you can see that, and there's always people hanging around and,
Right.
stuff like that. I would like to see all that cleaned up.
I would say.
Well, and I think that the commission has to decide, like, in its inception, was this a match?
right.
Yes, 50%.
Okay. Because,
But the dollar amounts like Gardner spoke about, those were set back in
right,
2010.
right. So we have to look at that. But I do think it's important that businesses
No, we will.
have skin in the game.
I will, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if there's something
You own
available.
that plaza, right?
I'm sorry?
You own the plaza?
I do.
And you also own the building on the highway as well.
The Hope House building, correct?
Yeah, so you're not just one building, and then the PDQ, or
Right.
whatever it's called now, so
We
you
want to
have,
do them in phases,
you're an
though.
invested business owner on that corridor already.
Be good to look
Plus-
into that, Hatham, the
He has. He's
Ventura
got-
project coming.
He has plans on all three of those
Sorry.
buildings, but we're kind of going one step at a time, because we're going to be matching the funds, so I got to be careful on how we do this.
Sure.
And as you can tell from our conversation, we're starting back from scratch because we haven't had any funding.
Right.
We have a outdated facade grant project. But for me, I think it's a great idea. I really do. And how we work out and how we can partner like we have with, Melanie and Nikki, and we had partnered before with other business owners. I'm in support of that. I think the private-public partnership is important.
Sure.
Redevelopment.
Well, we're looking forward to trying to make this happen. So my next step would be actually filling out an application, correct?
Yep.
Or would I get that application from
But we're gonna
Terry?
We're gonna have to rewrite it.
We're gonna have to redo the application. I mean,
Okay.
But we know, fill out what's there,
Okay,
and then I think our job is gonna be to allot so much money for facades, so much for water lines, infrastructure, so much because we have such a huge area now. But I do agree, 27, focus on the main
Gotta make Highway
thoroughfares
27
first.
and and WCO and that
Well,
whole quarter
That's a
area.
great, that'd be a good project.
And I think also that we talked about Ventura, we just mentioned that, the money that's gonna be invested with the DOT project. I mean, that corridor, that one block area is, you know, to me, is a tie-in from Highway 27 to Ventura Avenue. So I think it's important, very important. So before Hatham leaves, I think that we should look at, and we didn't do this before, but we look at levels of, you know, just maybe a mural being done, or maybe painting a building in the CRA, you know, the infrastructure, how much is gonna be set aside for city infrastructure, and then for redevelopment of existing properties. Because when you look at this, the very first thing on page 1, it talks about blighted. You know, and I'm not gonna say that your building is completely blighted, but the overall sense in that area is that it is a blighted area because of what you mentioned earlier, and how we as a city can partner with property owners to upgrade these blighted areas. So
I agree.
you have
Okay.
my support in trying to get this done.
Thank you.
Mine
Thanks
All
for
right,
coming
so
on.
I'll wait to hear back from, when the application's ready, then we'll apply and move forward.
Good
Alright.
deal.
Yeah, but I think for us, for the
And I-
commission, one of the things we need to
and I
talk
think
about the
part of
pockets of
the
money.
process is
Yeah.
going to be, once we revamp the advisory board, maybe doing a presentation to them.
To them as well.
Or a joint one with us, all of us together.
Okay, so,
I know in your mind, you're saying, well, how long is that gonna take? I understand.
I mean, it sounds like you're ready to go ahead and do something, is that correct? What time?
I'm not in a hurry, I mean, because it's funding, and I want to make sure that everybody's on board. I don't want to be, if only half of y'all are on board, then I'll leave it alone, but if we're all committed, then I'll do it. Because we're going to match whatever you guys give us. So we're ready to do it, but, and I'm not using this to raise anybody's rents by any means. I really care about the town, and I want to bring it up. I think our site needs to be, it's a building that's been there for almost 60 years, and I haven't had anything done to it. I've tried painting it, I've tried taking out windows, but I just can't get to what I need to get to, so, without having to raise anybody's rents.
No, I think all it'll do is increase business.
I think it will too. I think it's thriving now. All the businesses that are there are doing very well, so.
Yeah.
And I want to show some appreciation and make it look better for everybody.
And keep them there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the plan. So, I mean, it's gonna take some time, obviously. I think we have some ways to go, so I'll be patient and waiting, and if.
Well, hopefully we can move fast because we do have the funding now where we hadn't before. And I think it's so critical that we start redevelopment because we're not only on WCO, but Highway 27. I mean,
Sure.
some of these buildings are looking really tired
Right.
and blighted,
I agree.
so.
Yeah, seems like LaBelle's thriving. We're kind of sitting back, because Eamon's over there, and he's telling me what they're doing. I'm looking over here, I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna catch up."
Hey, we're better off,
Yeah, I agree.
definitely better off.
Okay.
Thanks,
for
Hatham.
coming.
Thank you.
So I guess we have a path, Mayor. We're gonna put it on the next agenda.
Yeah,
And
that's
you-
that's what I'm hearing is the advisory board on the next agenda. I mean, I'm throwing that out. We won't make a decision today, but I want to go back to everyone that's even on there that might want to continue to serve. Just kind of get a fresh jump. You know,
Yeah, we should, I don't, by the wording of what Travis said, I'm not against just abolishing the entire board now and just building it ground up.
Okay.
Restructuring the application and the board members and all, just rebuilding all of it.
because really you're looking at maybe 2 or 3 that might want to continue to serve. And I haven't talked to like, all of them, but seen a few of
I'm
them
gonna say
around.
this, that might not be real popular, but even if they all have the desire to continue to serve, I think it's necessary for us to make sure that the group is very diverse, you
Right,
know?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, whether somebody wants to continue to serve or not.
Right.
Do you want to contact, or you want me to contact the board?
I'll contact.
You contact? Okay.
Well, so the message would be, do we have to be at a regular meeting to abolish it?
So this is where I come in at, and I want to make sure that I'm getting clear direction. So I was supposed to bring an updated advisory board sheet for January 27th meeting. But the way you all are speaking now, I need to probably bring a resolution for you all to abolish the current one, create a new application for the facade application, and new application for advisory boards. That if you all pass those resolutions on the 27th, that will give us an opportunity to send the new applications to whomever that would like, and then on the February one, the applications can come before you all in another resolution, and you can approve them or not. Is that correct?
Yeah,
so
I don't
far?
want to make them
That's,
think that they can't come back on the board, you know? They're more than welcome to
So that-
apply
Apply.
again, right?
That sounds correct, what you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah,
Sounds
And,
good.
and Lakeisha, do you, Travis, you and Lakeisha and Danny, do y'all think that between now and our January 27th, we could have a new facade grant application
Yes, ma'am.
so that we could approve it at the January meeting, but then the CRA advisory would go on to the February meeting?
The great thing about government is that we can already get one that's already out there,
Okay.
created, and
All
make
right.
Not
it out.
reinventing
Okay.
the wheel.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
new facade application can be
On the January,
January 27th.
okay,
The resolution for, to abolish the current one can be on the 27th. And also the, application for the CRA, you all can look at that
Approve it.
on the 27th and
okay.
approve
And then,
those.
and then start accepting applications at that point. Okay.
And I know we're not talking about, but just to piggyback, do you just want new, for this CR advisory board or all advisory boards?
I think we're just talking about the CRA.
CRA for
Just
right
want
now, but
CRA.
it might be that you can bring back all the other advisory boards to us
Okay.
and look at the dates of everybody that's on there and
Yeah,
their
we
expiration
Probably
dates.
need to review.
Got it.
You know,
Yeah.
that might be good, Lakeisha, to look at the ones that's not
Maybe
really
for the
active
February,
anymore.
maybe for the February
February?
meeting, yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah.
Okay.
And I have a question to the board and to Travis and to Danny about this, and to our our CFO, about, our finance director, about, you know, how are we gonna, what are the levels that we're gonna fund this? Because she needs to have that on the application.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at too.
So this was from 2011, and it was a $5,000 maximum?
Yeah, but I think the idea behind this one back in the day was more of painting
Painting.
and maybe some
Landscape.
minor facade work.
And
Nothing
It's got an
structural.
asterisk with a maximum of 10,000, you know, available for multi-storefronts. So they were taking into account kind of what he was trying to do even back then, so.
I mean, and I think we should maintain, you know, like a lower amount, for the paint projects, but I mean, it can't, you know, gone are the days where a project like Hatham just brought up, $10,000 isn't gonna push him to complete his project,
Won't
you
pay the
know?
Well,
architect.
murals are gonna be about 10,000.
Right, or if
I
a
mean,
building
they're
wants
8
to
to 10.
repaint, or,
Yeah.
you know, something like that.
Yeah.
He's looking for like $150,000.
well, he said, that was probably, but not,
830,000.
yeah.
There's only 830 completely.
yeah, well, everybody can be asking, but what I'm hearing, okay, so let's say for facade and painting, facade painting, and I know we have awnings in there, which I think are important, because we can just look at Melanie and Nikki's office and see what a difference that makes.
Yeah, our office.
The murals you said are about 10,000 now? The
What-
murals?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what,
But we do want this to remain a match.
Right,
You know?
absolutely, absolutely. And so I'm just thinking what we have here, I think would work for something like that, up to the 10,000 for what we've just been talking about, because they still have to match. It's a 50% match.
Now, I can go back and have a fee schedule. We had, that works off of, footage, and type of building construction. So we can look back and see in 2011, 2010, what we set that at, and then I can give you that number, what it would be today, just in construction costs. And you can still set whatever you want. I could give you that as a kind of starting point to see see how much it's actually, So I could, whatever that 5 and 10 was, it's gonna be another number, and I can give you based on construction cost of a new building today.
Or just, let's look at MCM Paints. I mean, how much are we talking about there, that they've, brand-new building, how much are we looking at?
I don't. Yeah, this is gonna be significantly more than it was
Sure.
14 years ago.
But we just have to decide, do we want to piece this money out small? Or do we want to be impactful with it?
Well, no, I think you can do both. There are some buildings that just need painting. We need to think of the vacant property on the highway that's just been sitting there with crumbled up concrete or weeds. A lot of cities make them put a fence, a decorative fence,
Yeah.
until that property's sold. So do we want to mess with any of that?
Didn't we have a problem, though, with having a fence up on 27 at one point, the business there?
With the garden center?
Right.
Well, that was with barbed wire,
Yeah.
chain link and barbed wire. So that's a big difference in what he's talking about.
Yeah,
You're talking about like the screen?
yeah, it's just things to talk about. We may not want to do anything, but we have CRA money, and if it
And we
took
also,
$20,000 to put up a couple of fences.
Definitely, I mean, anything along 27 would be great.
We need that.
That would also prevent those trucks from parking and
Yeah.
going up in those vacant areas. So that's just another thing to think about. But back to the facade, yes, I think we should have a couple different levels. One for just paint and awning,
general,
some other things.
trim work.
Maybe even some minor landscaping, and then some for maybe a minor and a major facade grant. Mr. Kaki would be a major. And maybe make that grant up to 50,000, 75,000. And he's gonna spend 250. He's gonna well over the match. But someone just painting maybe go up to 10,000, and if they match 10,000, that would pretty much paint any of these small buildings on the highway.
even some of the repair. Yeah,
And it would even throw, and we can make a requirement too, you have to do this much landscaping. Painting is one thing and it looks nice, but it, greenery looks, and then the maintenance of it. Are we gonna have a
Requirement.
stipulation for?
the requirement of the maintenance.
Yeah, you give them the money, 6 months later, it's back to run down.
Yeah.
So,
I think we especially need to build in requirements for maintenance on these murals. The last
Sure.
thing we want is a bunch of faded, junky-looking murals around
Right.
town.
Where was the mural?
Dr. Carroll's building next to Pam's in the alleyway.
Right on
Yeah,
Bond.
my
that's one of, yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's where we are, right there.
Yeah.
Nice. And that would be that would be highway front and Bond Street? Like it would come down
I
and
think it's
around?
just gonna be in the alley
Or
there.
just in the alleyway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you're not even gonna be able to see it?
Well, they thought about putting it, somebody had mentioned on the one building there by the ice machine place. When you're coming in 27, you see it on that side. That was also discussed.
That's not, but that's somebody else, a different owner that's interested in that. So I think there might be several people that would be interested in facades.
So let me ask you
Murals.
something. If Dr. Carroll serves on the CRA board and he's gonna go after CRA matching funds to put a mural on his own building, that's cool?
Dylan?
Well, I think
That's
you'd
what he
probably
was,
have to
that's,
abstain.
that's what Dylan just mentioned,
I
is
mean,
when
he
these,
doesn't get to vote on it anyway,
No, right.
to an
Yeah, but
extent, like, you know.
when these guys work together, that's the problem.
Recuse himself from any kind of discussion on that particular
Yeah.
Yeah, but very slippery, especially being that they're all working together in the same building.
They couldn't have discussed it, or they'd have to abstain, so you could get a possibility where you'd have several members. If I'm working with somebody, me and Danny's working together, and we're talking about a project, and we're on a board together, and that happens to come up, and he applies for it, I would have to, legally abstain. So that's where it's so great that Dylan can actually get your board members, and let them understand that you want to avoid those conversations. Not that you can't talk together, but you have to avoid those kind of conversations. It does make it more difficult on your board members when they
Work
when they are
together.
Really avoid those
It's
conversations.
possible, once they understand
Yeah,
it, they
can you?
could keep,
No.
just not have this conversation.
I mean, it's possible, but it's not probable.
Difficult.
Let's be real,
Yeah.
you know?
Or overhear conversations. Jimmy, let me ask you something on that, on the, when we're talking about the levels, because you're a contractor. I mean, what is $50,000 gonna do? I mean, I mean, let's say that would be up to 100,000, right? I mean, how much was 50,000 on this, if you looked at that
On
project?
Hatham's project, not much. Because
I
it
mean, would
looks
it
like
even-
he wants to
Windows.
rebuild the front facade out of, say, metal studs and stucco it and put in new storefront windows and doors.
Brick.
And
I
paving.
mean, just the
he said.
windows and doors on that building would be probably 75,000. It's crazy. The numbers are over double what they were in 2016. So,
And that's just one, I mean, it is a shopping center, but if you look at Highway 27, we have a lot of other buildings, you know, so I'm just thinking a match, if it was grant funding through the CRA up to a certain amount, what would make it, yes, we're gonna do this? I mean, it's just a match. I mean, they can't do it at 50,000, they're not gonna be able to do it at 75,000 probably, but it's a match. So is that a reasonable figure to say through the CRA, we can match this for redevelopment? You know, or does it need to be 100,000?
yeah, 100,000, I think, would make any owner, property owner say, hey, I'll do it, I'll match that, and give more. They're gonna give more.
Right, up to 100,000.
Yeah, and then I think the way it was paid for in the past is the owner paid all the bills and then they were reimbursed
Right.
from the city.
They submitted the bills.
Right.
And they submitted the invoices from the storefront people, from the painting company, you know, to make sure nothing was falsified.
So let me ask you this, if we went up to 100,000, would we need to cap at like 3 of those projects? So that we make sure we keep some money for the smaller businesses that might not be able to afford a $100,000 match? You know, let's say, you know, somebody just wants to do one of these minor,
Yeah, I think we should.
I don't wanna see us go after
Well,
8 giant projects
Right.
and not be able to help the
Well,
smaller
first of all,
guy.
yeah, because we're only gonna have maybe $500,000 to $600,000 max in this, you know.
What, did you say 8?
At 1.3 and 5 is already a
Yeah.
lot, so that's
Yeah, so-
8.3.
so-
Well, 830,000.
It's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay. All right,
And then not to
Yeah.
throw a wet blanket on anything, but we do know everything is cyclic. So there will come a point,
like we were
hope
before.
it doesn't happen, but there will come a point when this flattens out for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years where we won't have any. Well, we will have some, because now we've already made space between the original property
Right.
values.
Right. But I think, so I guess a good question like for what Louise just brought up is what I'm thinking about. You know, we have one infrastructure project at 500,000, but along that Highway 27 corridor, I know that you mentioned that there's several more projects that we probably should upgrade. So do we want to set aside a certain amount for city infrastructure projects along Highway 27 for redevelopment? And then the balance of that is what we have for facade and for upgrades of private businesses.
Good idea.
Do you want us to compare it to other cities, what their CRA is doing?
And are CRA
kinda wanna
funds
see what
allowed
they're
to be
doing with
used
their
as
CRA
like
funding,
no
because-
interest loans?
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know about that, but,
Never had that one.
no.
I know you can purchase property and sell it for a profit.
With the CRA funding?
We have areas, so there are lots of things.
For blighted areas, yeah.
Right,
But
the
their
CRA
rate
board
is
can
a
do that
very
you,
good
as a
CRA
commission, can't.
board.
So I think we're part of an organization that can answer those questions, have a team of.
Can you find out?
Redevelopment Association.
Because that would also be a nice incentive for a business.
Yeah, Dylan, can you do that, Dylan?
Yes, sir. I just reviewed the CRA. Don't recall there being any provision. Not authority to purchase property. Really, you know, give out funds as desired. I'm not sure. I'll certainly research it.
Lakeisha, can you see if other cities use it that way?
And then see if other CRAs are keeping like a maintenance fund, like she was saying about the murals, or if we do end up putting a fence in front of a vacant property, you know, in 3 or 4 years, there might be some maintenance required.
But wouldn't that be on the property owner for the
Well,
maintenance?
it should, but think, You know, you know
Think about
how
what they look like now.
certain things go. We could definitely,
But we could make sure that if, should we do something like that,
Well-
we install something that can be, reused, you know? So let's say somebody comes along and buys said property, we can take our stuff up and put it on a different property.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
speaking of people buying property, I think we need to look into, when you purchase property, especially like 27, our business, I think you need to do something within 90 to 180 days to that property, not sit on it and wait, think the airport's gonna happen.
Well,
I
that's-
think we need to look at that.
Well, I think that, but I think with private property, unless we, Dylan, you might, I'm just thinking, I mean, I'd love to be able to do that, but I think with private property, I think it's gonna be kind of hard for us unless we have a special exception, like we just had one on Highway 27 at the restaurant there, you know, that, and we didn't put a sunset on it. You know, that something had to be done within a certain amount of time. And I think that if we're gonna offer variances or special exceptions, that we should put a sunset on it. Dylan, I hope you're hearing that, you know, instead, I mean, they could go on for 10 years and nothing be opened up that creates jobs or retail activity in the city of Clewiston.
Exactly.
And I'm just
Yeah,
thinking,
you have to be real careful, make, you know. Create a bad situation where something continues indefinitely.
You may wanna look, Lakeisha, and see if any other cities have something in place.
I know we just did, for Loxahatchee Grove, we had Grove Town Center, and you know, they're still building, and they were, variants that had special clauses, so I'll look at that one.
Okay.
yeah, just a sense that, you know, they have, with, you know, and I've seen it in other cities where if we approve something,
It has to be built in
it
a
has to
certain
be
time.
done, what they said they were gonna do, it has to be done within 3 to 5 years, or whatever the term is that the
And
commission,
even on this facade grant, we should have a,
yeah.
You currently
Okay.
do that. That is in your policy for facade grant, but it's 3 years.
Or the funds would revert if they're not.
Right, if they're not
It would
used.
be, yeah. The way the facade was working, they had to actually do the work, funds, and they had to do it
Yeah.
within 3 years.
Yeah, but in the meantime, we're holding that money committed to them, so if they're not gonna do the project
No,
within
they
3
need to
years,
put
we
a
can
date on it,
reallocate it
yes.
elsewhere.
absolutely. Water under the bridge, but that's what we should have done at the Commerce Park.
And now we're
Yeah.
a little bit more experience with it from.
We do have a buyer.
Part of it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, there's a metal company, they're, I believe, working on a contract. Keitha called me. I told her to have the guy reach out to me, but he hasn't yet. But I think he's doing a contract. So, pretty good, finally.
Double fingers crossed. Something will happen.
Yeah. Hey, we're trying.
But I just think the sunset provision, because if not, you know, we have no idea when something's gonna open after we've given them a special exception.
About facade programs, you may want to entertain application for separate ones. One, for smaller projects like the painting, you mentioned that. We did get.
Or the murals.
The requirements were the same, where they had to have architectural drawings, where, you know, we originally envisioned in the facade program, we were changing the whole facade, not just some painting and some landscaping.
Okay.
So we.
So you can look at that.
Probably need a small project.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, just knock it all down, build it back up.
And say one like Hatham, where you're gonna wanna see an architectural drawing.
Right.
You can say, well, what's your color palette? Okay, that's
Yeah, those are totally different scenarios.
There's so many holes and questions in here.
and that's gonna eat
What's
up.
that?
There's a lot of holes and questions
Yeah.
in what you can and can't do and how long you have and.
Okay, so I'll open this can of worms. So in the CRA, I know we can, but we're gonna need to look at some point at a color palette.
Absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely.
So the can's open.
And that's fine, because you're not regulating them, you're giving
So
them money.
can we just say, subject to the CRA?
Yes, now they have to give you the
Don't,
color.
no
palette.
colors, just subject to what we say.
No, I
And
think
if we
you're okay.
pick-
It's not a can of worms, because you're not regulating everybody to something. You're saying, if you're gonna come to this board, the public, you represent the public, and say, hey, I wanna do this color, and you want the public to help you, then it should be something that is not, we'll say offensive, say the word, it's offensive to your neighbor. Something that does have a sense of place or.
Dylan,
Go ahead, Dylan.
Travis is absolutely right. You have the level of control over.
What about if we're not giving funds and they're just in the CRA?
You can still, Dylan, what is it called when a city, it's on the tip of my tongue, where you've set the style of how you want your city,
The aesthetics.
the aesthetics to look? Again, only because I just left Loxahatchee, where certain things, as you tell, that Publix in Loxahatchee looks a little different. It looks more like a barn type facade. And even if you look at the town of Jupiter down Indian Town Road, their color palettes, because it's, I'm trying to think what it's called, where it's almost you're branding your city. So when new businesses comes, it's certain type of facades and certain type of paints that they have to use. And I know the name of it, it's in my brain, it just haven't come
I know
forth.
what you're talking about too, like a document that the guidelines for, there's a lot of different options for people. You have a lot more leeway. Commercial and industrial properties, there's limitations to what you can do in residential. Very limited. If you want to impose aesthetic guidelines on people's houses, you have to set up like an architectural review board. You have a little bit more leeway on,
Yeah.
a lot of cities will put out this document that's like a guideline for, they hand it out to people who, when they're aesthetically, if you should base your structure as close to this as possible, or with a couple different options for people to work.
Well, and that brings up to me, now that you've opened up this can of worms. I know at one time that we had looked at Paint Your Town, whereas these are the colors, and the CRA will buy your paint colors. We looked at it, we never implemented it. There was a Paint Your Town, and it's been done in other places where we'll buy the paint, right? And this is how, these are the colors that we'll buy. But it's just a thought that, you know, but I know I know for sure we can, with the CRA, we can do that. But I was just, overall on Highway 27, that was just my thought, that we, you know, for the aesthetics, like she's saying, these are the colors that we'd like to see. The issue is that we never could come up with the right colors, or if they decided they wanted to do a dots of one color and dots of another color, you know, that we never could determine, you know, your full wall has to be painted this color or that color, instead of doing, if somebody
Yeah,
wanted to
like-
play games with us.
Yeah, we got beach city colors around here, like we're going down into the coast, and we're not, you know, got to be somewhat compatible all the way through. Looks crazy around here in certain areas.
Yeah.
I think we should at least start with the 27 corridor.
Absolutely.
Maybe not make it CRA-wide or even city-wide at this point, but we need to start it. If we don't, I mean, we're just going to be sitting here 5
CRA
years talking
aesthetics.
about it again, and when there's another lime green or bright orange building out there, and then we're all mad about it. And we're not really mad, but it looks goofy. I mean, if we
It
want to
does.
Sticks out like
improve
a
the
sore
aesthetics
thumb.
of the town, we got to tackle the paint colors.
That's what I feel like. We need to have a palette that we can use, that they can pick from. And like you said, if we buy the paint, I mean, that's not a lot. It's minimum.
Yeah, I
But
don't
we
know
need
how-
a color palette.
I don't know how much it costs to paint a building.
Well, it costs a lot, but if you have money in the CRA and they
A
apply
match.
for, you know,
Yeah,
a facade,
yeah, that's part of the facade, yeah.
you know?
Well, but if we at least get a palette.
These are the colors you can use.
An exclusion.
What do you think of the drive-through? When it first was done, it was like, my gosh, Danny, what are y'all doing? But a lot of people now like it. But
Well,
again, look
The
at the
kitten
colors.
split?
For that business, I think it works. I mean, yeah,
I
everybody
disagree.
freaked out at first,
They did.
but, I mean, now it works.
Can't even think about what color the outside of it is. I just know there's a party going on the inside. They got strobe lights and disco balls and.
Red and green
I didn't
light.
go
My
through
kid
it.
loves to go in there at nighttime.
We'll know soon.
Yeah.
I don't even know what color it is. What color is the outside of it?
Racetrack.
Like a
It
checkered
looks like
flag.
a racetrack.
We've talked about a lot, more than we have in several years, and I think we've got to fine tune it, like you said, because, you know, we do have the funding now, and Randy says that we're gonna have more funding, but I think that, I agree with everybody, the Highway 27 corridor should be our focus, and WCO, and again, whatever we can do on that as well, not only just for the project that was presented or shown to us today, but all the way to the sugar mill. I mean, that is our crown jewel of economic activity. And
All the
we've
way
got,
to the county line.
you know, and I think that,
A lot of plans for the,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
avenue.
well, I see that they put up a shed. That's not,
Done that, and they have others for the side.
okay. Other sheds? More sheds?
No, there's multiple
Okay,
sheds, that one's supposed to,
okay.
so.
And you know, picking paint colors, it's not like we have to choose 4, you know, and people have to pick one of these 4. I think you can have a wide variety. I personally think it would be easier to choose what's acceptable rather than what's unacceptable, because I think the list of unacceptable can just be pushed and pushed and pushed, you know?
I think it needs to be on these facade grant applications, color to be approved by CRA, approved by the city commission, something. So we don't end up, and I don't think Hatham would paint it a crazy color,
Well, I
but
think
Yeah,
it's,
but we don't want to fund anybody to do that.
yeah, I mean, his is brick, right? Wasn't it a brick facade that he was gonna do?
Primarily, I think with
Yeah.
some black and
Stucco.
Right.
tan.
so maybe just start
Building
there.
black.
I mean, we're not gonna
And
solve
see,
it here
that's,
today.
that's
Yeah,
where you.
That's where we got into
Yeah, 'cause
problems.
in my
because
brain just
you
said the
say,
same
You know,
thing.
you look at Nikki and Melanie's building that we did with the facade grant, and it's beige, cream, and black shutters or black awnings. But what if somebody wanted to take a black building and put, you know, paint the building black? You know, that would probably not go with the aesthetics that we're looking for. And so I think that we've got to, I mean, I think we've got a lot started out, but we think we need to have another workshop on this to really maybe come back with some ideas and some paint palettes. Because the Florida vernacular, which I think is, if I'm not mistaken, Michael, when in past, the Highway 80 corridor from Palm Beach County line to Lee County line, the county has the Florida aesthetics. It's in the code.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it's, I don't know within the city of Clewiston how required it is of us, but they do have that corridor plan that was approved many years ago. And I think in there, when it talks about Florida vernacular, I think that there were colors that were listed in there. But it's been a while since I've looked at that, so I don't know. Sorry? Yeah, and if you could then email it to Lakeisha so she can get it to all of us. But I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, that is still there. It's a Florida architectural, Florida style corridor plan from Highway 80 all through Henry County. And I don't know who monitors that or not, but obviously it all changes. But I just thought that maybe some wording from that could help us out, Dylan.
Hey, do you have clear direction?
Yes, sir.
I don't know that I do, but I hope you do. No, I'm kidding. Anything else?
Yes.
I wasn't scheduled to speak, but
Oh, absolutely.
throw in some 2 cents on what we figured out over the last couple of months.
Hey,
up, Randy?
Randy.
Pure finance. Do I have to do it again in the microphone, or are we good? Okay. A couple months back, Danny said, let's do this. And so we started running with this, and it took about 5 minutes to run into all kinds of little barriers. Like, we were looking at something like decorative traffic lights going down towards Tiki Bar, something as simple as that. And it quickly became apparent with what you guys are referring to as with the facade colors, with the design, and something like even Hatham said, hey, let's do a throwback from the past and go back to the 70s with some brick facade. And it's like, you know, so style-wise, almost made sense to consider a project manager. The question with that is, how does a project manager get paid if it's not salary? I would never put them on a salary because they could just sit in an office and do nothing and get nowhere. But so one of the things was right away is your group of 5 here, how do you pin that down to where one project manager saying, you know what, this is the right style, somebody that has a sense of style to them, which unfortunately I don't have. 'cause I
Or a
can't
clear
contribute to any
understanding
that.
of what we want.
We haven't even determined it.
Right.
Exactly, but it's something to consider is a lead person, and I actually, that's why I interrupted the meeting a little bit to get Mr. Lopez's info. You know, it's like, wow, somebody that actually might be able to develop some type of cohesive plan. We tried to find some people, we got some lukewarm responses, and the biggest question is that came up was, running this project, how do you get paid? I'm not sure how to do that. I don't know how you take CRA money, put it towards maybe somebody that is a point person, maybe they get paid through bringing in vendors and adding a commission on top of that vendor, and we see the bill. It's another point to consider if you want to push that onto somebody. And I have nothing to recommend or nobody to recommend. But that would be the person, maybe we don't ask people what color they want to paint their building. Maybe we just have a rendering and say, these are the colors we think you should have, and make them tell us no. Be proactive. Also consider with some of the blight, will the application include demolition, just straight up demolition versus any type of refurb? If you offer a maximum 10,000 on a property that somebody matches, would you also match that on a demolition? Something to consider also, which maybe, you know.
Randy, do you have any idea, does anybody have any idea about what a demolition for a building on Highway 27, what that would run? I mean, I don't,
Oh, we actually do.
Yeah,
okay.
we got one.
We know off the top of our head that the demolition for the little hotel at the end of town, I can't think of its name.
Comfort Inn.
Is that it?
That way.
Relax
Yeah,
in.
The Relax Inn.
Relax Inn, I'm sorry.
East,
Is between 85 and 100.
Wow.
Is best guess right now, and those are
Pay you
recent
that, too.
quotes.
that's demolition and hauling everything off?
Yes, yeah, and that one specifically, I don't think there were any issues with
Now,
materials
that includes the
inside house.
buildings in the back of the property.
Right, right.
across the
That's
alley.
everything, right?
Just-
Yeah.
The
But the
hotel.
problem with that is
Both
if
in the
you
back,
have
they
a
have two
blighted
parcels,
property,
Front and the back, yeah.
an owner's not gonna wanna match.
Well, I was just,
you know?
Oh, they absolutely, though they might.
well, but
In
if
that
they, I mean,
particular case, they sure would, because they want to sell the property.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. But
Demolition
I
up
guess I'm
to-
thinking of like vacant ones that have just straight been abandoned,
yeah.
you know?
And that's a good piece of property right at the beginning of town. That's quite the eyesore.
so I think you bring up a good point about demolition, because we are wanting to redevelop blighted areas, and there's several blighted areas on the east end of town. So I think putting in demolition,
At least consider the cap, you know, say, hey,
Yeah.
look, we can put in so much, just like we would in the refurbishment of the building, maybe we can match the demolition, assuming there's a plan to do something with it after.
right, and put a time frame on it as well.
Right. But more importantly is just that person that might have the experience that helped develop another CRA plan. Didn't get that far into the process to find somebody that specialized in that.
Lakeisha, with your experience, do you know of, do other CRAs have a project manager?
Majority of the CRAs that are really good have executive directors
Okay,
that literally runs their CRA program. And I'm about to use a real country term from the rooter to the tutor. They have staff, they have it all. Because you got to make sure it's not a conflict. So they usually, even though the CRA is under the city, it's budgeted separate, they usually have their own staff. The great thing until we can get to that point is because there are some very good CRAs that are up. The city of Delray Beach has an excellent CRA. And again, because we are municipalities, we don't have to continue to do the work they've already done. I spoken with her, and they're willing to help us. Sir?
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
So it's an executive director, you said project manager, but it's basically the same thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we probably couldn't fund an
We
entire
couldn't-
staff, but we
we
could
can't
hire,
even-
we could fund a person, that
Right.
maybe that was your main point of contact, and it's just something
And
to
working with
consider.
existing staff to
Yeah.
maybe, with the building department.
And more importantly,
Tara.
would be the creative side, because, I could tell you anything you wanted to know about the numbers and what makes sense and how many buildings that's, another thing to consider is how many people might actually fill out these applications. We might not have a money problem after all if 5 people fill in their applications and, so it just depends, again. Just a thing to consider is that might be the point person to go to the businesses and tell them what's going on versus, you get what I'm saying. Just somebody to organize it, somebody that has any type of style, which I don't. Like I said, I can tell you anything about the numbers, but I couldn't tell you what looks good in the community. My city would look really bad
Also, I
if
believe-
I could design it.
I'm sorry, Randy. I believe that we could take this opportunity now that we have, being that we're transferring over to a new website, is to start up a website for our CRA program. Again, once we get that up and running, people can start doing stuff hands-on. If you put the information out there and give easy access, people can really do the work on its own. I just think right now, put that in the back, but I really do believe we need to piggyback off some of the cities that are already developed, is running, is moving. If they're gonna give us free help,
Yeah.
kind of take that first and then expand upon once we get the legwork or the foundation created. That's just my opinion.
I would welcome,
Well, I love the idea about the demolition, though, and that you brought up is somebody managing this, because I hadn't thought about that at all. But then I was thinking about, you have limited funds anyway. I mean, I know you said we're gonna be getting some more funds, but on these
It would just be like a cap, like anything else, if you demolish it, we can, whether you're refurbing or demolishing.
right,
same
I meant for the manager, because, salaries nowadays are way up there, and is it a full-time position, part-time position? But those are things that we can find out, we can work through. But Randy, I know we have 1.8 million right now, 1.3 million, but what are you anticipating?
Depends on the projects that come in
Okay.
the door. That
No,
all
no, but I'm
depends
saying,
on-
but for funding, for additional funding going forward,
Best I could do is say we're gonna match last year. I have no reason to believe it would be.
and
more.
that was 800,
No, it was about 250,000.
250,000, okay. Right.
Yeah, and that's all. I hate to add more stuff, to things to consider, but I just wanted to make sure that those were kind of considered. And again,
But I love the demolition, so I'd like to hear what else you have for us to consider.
I don't know how to pay the person. Like I said, you have the option of hiring somebody, and I hate that idea. But there is the option of somehow, whatever the plan might be, whether it is the murals, whether it's matching streetlights down roads or whatnot. Maybe they build in their fees.
I was gonna say, why can't we just
Well-
contract it,
why
like,
can't we, Dylan, do you
We
know?
can do whatever we want.
Did you
but-
hear that question, Dylan? Can we pay someone to run the CRA out of CRA funds?
Yes, I believe you can.
Yeah, it's just,
Send me a-
the question would be, is managing that person, are they, that example, are they sitting there doing nothing, or are they really working at it? And
You bring
that's
up a good point, yeah.
the only risk of keeping the person on. That's why I kind of like figuring out how to build in it. Where they build it into the vendor quotes, some type of commission, some type of add-on on the quote. That way, they're not sitting there.
right, like
we're all
upon
working our
project
butts off, and they're
completion
just kinda
and things like that.
offices.
But like
Well,
you
they
said,
would
we could
still
look at what
answer to the city
Del
manager.
Rey and Jupiter have
They can
done.
hang out with me.
Yeah.
So that's all I had. Again, I just
I didn't know if you had any
Oh, good
other
idea.
ideas,
Good
like
stuff.
demolition or something else, or any other
just the
consideration
point
for,
of somebody that has any type of artistic style has to,
Okay.
that's in charge, they have to be able to have.
but
that.
for,
That is,
but for projects, like, I know you said demolition, but is there anything else other than, like, for redevelopment that you're thinking about? Not just demolition, but something else? No, just that you have
no,
suggestions?
if I come up with something
Okay,
that's
all right.
amazing, I'll let you
Okay.
know. But it's just those little points here or there that,
Randy, I actually got some numbers, and it is pretty high for somebody that you're
is.
talking about, a project manager.
Like
yeah, that's why I'd rather build it into
$85,000.
the, I'd rather
Yeah.
build it into the invoices.
Well, let's, yeah, so maybe we can see what the CRA and Delray's doing and how they can
Yeah, that'd be great.
advise us first and take it in
I'll do
steps. Thank
Thanks,
you, Randy.
Randy.
I love the demolition idea.
Yep.
Is that something that up to a certain amount that we would want to include in the
I think we should put it on the application.
Yeah, demolition
is
and-
also
yeah,
considered.
up to the, whatever, up to 100,000 that we had said? Depends, does it have to be a 50% match, or is that 50, up to 50,000 on demolition?
I would say,
I'd say 50,000.
Okay.
Yeah,
25,000?
I mean, that'll,
Make it a
that's a
50,000.
pretty
At
good
least
chunk of change.
25.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't have to, we can always say,
Solid,
no, we're
that's
only
a
giving
good
you 10.
incentive to
I mean,
get
we
moving.
don't have to give them.
Right, up to that
at
amount.
least 25 gets them started, like Jason said.
Yeah.
Years ago, when I was on the CRA and we didn't have any money, there was a woman that came in and did a study about the flow, keeping the flow the same. And, but I don't remember her, and I think she came from Naples, but I don't know how to get that information.
I'll
Okay,
take care of it.
and, but.
Barbara, do you
but
know what year that was?
I can't remember her name.
No, but do you know about what year it would have been?
Had to be, oh, wow, I don't even know.
Trav-
Thinking about Margaret Worsley. I had her come in, you were on the CRA board at one point.
Yeah, I
right?
was on the CRA board,
I had her come in and give a CRA speech, and she talked about visioning, branding.
and she brought,
Oh, is that when we like met in the John Boy Beardsley room
Right.
and
And that was part of the Main Street Corridor
Yeah, I think
plan.
we did meet there.
I
So
think
That was
so.
a Main Street Corridor plan.
She also
Yeah,
was,
that
she
was
talked
it.
to the commission when we,
Yeah, yeah.
we took a $25,000 grant.
Yeah, that's what it was, a Main Street Corridor plan. You're right. That should have information on there.
What was her name?
Main Street Corridor plan, the Highway 27 Main Street Corridor plan. We had the brochures on it. And I think, Danny, you have some in your office.
Yep.
Maybe you could, Keisha, you could look at that.
gosh, it's cold.
Okay.
Yes.
For the record, Stephanie Busen, live on Royal Palm Avenue. I want to say how encouraged I am. I want to start off with good. How encouraged I am to hear this level of discussion. I'm fired up about it. So I'm appreciative of you guys like taking this initiative. I love hearing your feedback. Like I'm pumped up about you, Lakeisha. So I know I'm like fired. I'm like it's back here. So I want to weigh in on. I have a perspective. We're talking. I hear Dania Beach. I'm hearing all these Loxahatchee. I like try to compare apples to apples. And one of my experiences is I'm the team mom of a youth fishing team, and we travel to similar communities that are fishing based. And so with bass tournament fishing, when you have adult males, like the wives are like, get out of here and you go fish, and you can sleep in your truck or whatever. But when you're a youth fishing team, mom goes, dad goes, we're getting Airbnbs and hotels, we're eating out, like we're staying there pre-fishing for almost a week, spending tons of money in these communities we go to. We go to an area of Kissimmee, which is much bigger than here, but we're going to Palatka, Okeechobee, the Leesburg area. Lake County is pretty amazing. We're going even up to Bainbridge in South Georgia. And what I'm seeing, and I'll tell you what I heard, and like I like to come up here and give you guys the business, but I don't want anybody else saying anything to y'all. And these, what I'm hearing from folks who come to Clewiston, because we were duking it out over where we're going to have the state championship. Well, Clewiston's the only option for me in my mind, and we didn't win it this year. And we had pushback from, and the guys do not care on the boat. It's the wives and the moms who are coming, who want restaurants, who want services, who want fun things to do. But the pushback was you know, like, and I say this about Palaca, so I'm sorry to the folks up there, but I'm like, I don't like going to Palaca because it's ugly. I mean, I just don't feel like there's anything, I mean, because I'm sitting there they're out on the boat all day, and so Anthony and I are trying to live our best lives, and it's just not really there for us in Palaca. And so, you know, I wanted to share that through somebody else's, you know, what they've expressed to us. What they do love about coming here is the venue at Roland Martin's is the best of all the ones that we go to. When you're having to sit there and wait for weigh-ins, top notch. They love being there. They love having that resort area there where you can have food and shelter and everything while you're waiting. But the drawback for the families that are traveling with these teams is the restaurants, the recreational opportunities that they think have expressed that they thought was a little deficient as compared to other communities. But our favorite one, we're going there in March, is the Lake County area. They have those smaller towns, and of course they're bigger than Clewiston. They really, really have done it right. And they have tons of old buildings there, and not everything, it's not matchy, but it's very cohesive. And it's, you know, visually aesthetic. They have, you know, all the amenities that we're looking for on traveling. And I'm telling you, it's a cash cow. When you can bring people in here to spend a week and you're eating out 3 meals a day, I mean, it's a boom for all of your businesses.
So restaurants was the first thing that
They talked about restaurants and then like recreational stuff.
What is that? What are they looking for?
So, like, well, I'm just going to use Leesburg. When we go up there, and I'm not hanging out with all the moms because it's 150
Sure.
boats. I mean, that's a lot of people. But they have like the downtown area where, like, say Leesburg, we're going to go, and you stroll that. They've got antique shops, dress shops. Last time we were there, we got our nails done. Service industry, stuff like that.
That's what you're saying with recreational. You want activities, retail activities or locations?
Shopping.
Shopping.
I know Anthony and I, like, it just depends on where we go. Like, we've gone up there and kayak. We do not kayak on this lake. You will be eaten alive. But, you know, they have the Emerald Mile up there, so he and I would go and kayak but just making the best use of your natural resources and your infrastructure that you have here. I just think that has, you know, it hurts my feelings when they say anything about us. It's not absolutely spectacular. But, you know, I do see that. And I know that we're looking at through a lens of people who live here, who are invested in the community. But I think it's also important to look through the lens of people who may be, you know, visitors.
So Stephanie, just going back, I know when I go to a place, yeah, the downtown area, I want to go to it. I want to see what the shops they have, restaurants they have. So would you say out of all of that, that you would be the biggest issue that you hear about?
Yes. They're just looking for anything to do because the kids go out at daylight. The boats are launched at daylight, and they start coming in about 3 o'clock. So that's a whole day where you don't want to sit at the Airbnb or your hotel room. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, Anthony and I we like to go brunching and exploring and shopping and so I think
they're not golfing that you know of.
Not that I know of. I think, you know, when we do have, I would love to see us like link up one of the Bond Streets events, a Bond Street market, when we're having one of these tournaments in town, because these aren't like typical professional angler tournaments. Like, you're really and truly bringing mom, grandma, all the siblings, like 150 boats times that. Like, they're looking to spend.
That'd be a good thought.
The Bond Street Market, there's only a couple ladies that sit on that board.
I know.
They'd be more than willing to change their dates and times to do something that's with the fishermen. They don't mind a bit.
Yeah.
And even like having the opportunity to give local businesses the heads up of, hey, this is who we've got coming in town. This is how they like to spend, and giving guides to the families that are coming in the local hotel rooms, like leaving those saying, you know, this is a list of the things that, you know, we recommend that you guys can do, because we want them to come back. You know, sometimes Anthony and I find ourselves doing the same activities and eating at the same restaurants at these places, but you know, it's a change of scenery from where we're at, but it's always like a pleasant experience, and it would be, you know, nice to have kind of that insight.
Do
when
you
traveling.
get like a year schedule, like
I
tournament
do.
schedule?
I'll turn it over. I'll give it to
Yeah,
you.
that'd be great. And that way, then we can meet with these folks at Bond Street and work schedules out.
I think
do
they would
food
love it. I
trucks,
think
whatever.
they would love to see the museum. And it's just,
And see, all that is information to Lee,
Yep.
because she will be open any Saturday that she needs to be.
And she was open this past Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, for
It
the,
advertised.
for
really.
this downtown market, I mean, the train people came through, and then the museum was open, and
Yeah.
they had a list of all the restaurants and places to go. You know, most of them were going to the coffee shop because it's right there, you know, close, and there was food trucks there. So that's probably
even
something.
queuing up the train for maybe even a special run for these folks. I'm telling you, they'll spend it. When I look back on my receipts, and I'm a frugal person, but when I look back on the receipts that I spent on a tournament week, I'm like, whew. So, you know, they're spending. And I know people, there's plenty, when I look at the cars in the parking lot, there's people spending way more than I do.
The food trucks up at the boat basin or something like that. I mean,
Which we're gonna do.
Yeah, but we need more than just that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the Bond Street with the retail would be, and food trucks there, that would be also something.
I think that would be cool. In some of the, like we had the first, Clewiston hosted the first tournament of the season. It was so hot. It was just a miserable hot day that day. And with that little siblings, even setting up where you can have water slides or, I mean, that's just a small investment to draw those families in, because I have heard them say, and this one just burns my biscuits, that so when they fish the north end of Lake Okeechobee, we don't get a place up there like Tony and the boys trailer the boat up there. But I've heard other parents come in for a weigh-in, and I'm like, so where are you staying? And they're like, we're staying in Okeechobee because there's more to do. I'm like, oh. And so, you know, I know, I'm like, oh my God, what are you talking about? And, but, you know, just anything that you can have to like really like play onto that market, because it's a market of spenders, and encourage them to, you know, to stay in the towns. And I know like Roland Martins has recently done a renovation. I don't know what Hampton Inn looks like, but to like work with this tournament trail to encourage them to stay here as opposed to staying up north or in Lake Placid. I don't like that either. I want them here,
Well, get us a schedule for sure, and then we'll work with
certainly.
everyone.
But I want to go back to what you just said about, they said there's more in Okeechobee. Is it because there's so many restaurants? Because there are a lot of, I was just up there, there's a lot of restaurants. There is a lot, there's a Marshall's, there's
Okay, so
shopping.
There's a lot of boutiques.
There's boutiques, and so I'll say this too. To feed my crew, I liken it to taking coal and like shoving it into a steam train. You just have to keep just feeding all those boys all the time. So we put the money in on an Airbnb, because I do cook a lot. And one of the reasons I don't like Palatka is we don't have a Publix. And I have my own standards, things that like just do it for me and don't. And you don't have like, I know that, you know, that having just storage, like a Publix, you can go in and get a pub sub or stuff from the deli. And I know that has been an area or an issue, but it is the restaurants. And it is, I mean, I think it is the aesthetics too. Because I don't even know if I would want to go back to Palatka if they had a Publix, because it's just ugly.
Well, definitely the business owners need to know the dates so they can be open. I mean, a lot of them close early on Saturdays, like 2 o'clock.
And even if the boys fish Saturdays and then they come back on Sundays too. And I know like everything shuts down here on a Sunday.
Well, even the tournaments, I would have the fishing tournaments with the adults. I would have men come in and just fill their coolers with subs, you know, or deli meat or cheese or whatever, you know. So they would have it. I mean, that's a lot of money.
But I just think
These
it's like the
businesses could
overall
make.
experience of what are the resources that you have there to make it's a tough sport. So to make the stay and make, you know, the resources you have there to make it work for you, not be too hard. Whether it's sub meat or but I think that, you know, that's what people are looking for.
Well, and you were talking about that experience. I mean, I know that there's a big tournament coming up in February, which isn't for the kids. But I mean, what experience are those folks having when they come to town, if the wives come?
Well, their wives, a lot of their wives do come.
Well, so my son works at the marina, and he is friends with all the fishermen, hears all the business, and he's a baby Stephanie, so he loves to come home and tell it. And he talks about that they talk about the price of hotels here as compared to other, like, I guess, I don't know, I'm not staying in a hotel in Okeechobee, but they say that it's cheaper to stay up there. They talk about the gas prices.
It is. That's what I hear.
The hotel and gas prices are the,
That's on Harry.
And so, I mean,
It's very high.
that's,
But I
you
mean,
know,
that's nothing that we can
yeah,
control.
that's,
You know,
capitalism there, but, you know, and I don't want to get away from capitalism and, you know, trying to force people to set prices, but, you know, that's just some of the feedback I'm hearing. And, you know, if it was just a handful of people, but it's 150 boats. And so it is, you know, I thought that was worth at least standing up and speaking to. And also I apologize for my unprofessional attire. I forgot it was today, and this is what I look like on Monday morning.
It's a workshop.
you're not on live.
Yes, I am. It is live.
Oh,
as it turns out, it is.
Sorry.
Also like to apologize to the general community.
It's live.
You can zoom in with the new camera.
Thank you. Please don't.
That's funny.
I'm on the struggle bus today.
It is. They're all gonna be live from now
Okay,
on.
that's
Okay,
fine.
so my action item will be to get that scheduled
Well,
to
let's
you.
meet with them too, Stephanie.
Absolutely.
I'll go with you and we'll sit down and talk to them. And
Thought
also,
maybe
we'll
you
get with
said something
Brandon
before I got
and maybe
here,
see if we
since
can
I
get the
was like-
train. I mean, it sits here. They can run either direction to Moorhaven. I think that would be better. It's kind of a cool ride. And, you know, this time of year, they see harvesting. And across the Caloosahatchee, it's a pretty cool little ride. So, yeah, definitely. We'll get with Brandon and get with the Bond Street folks.
Set up the youth center, have moms and mimosas on
Yeah.
Saturdays. For the,
And
Sure.
we are redoing.
Well, I'm
our
a Christian, so I
website.
can't weigh in on that, Jason, but.
It's a junior bass tournament.
That's him, David Driggers.
It's in June. And they want to, going out of Clewiston, but they want to have their award ceremony here. And it's 100 boats, so that's 200, because there's 200 kids, 2 kids on each boat and a captain. But then with parents, they're looking for a facility big enough to hold like 800 people for this banquet. So I'm trying to partner with the high school because I think the gym is the closest we're gonna get to being able to fit if all the kids and the boaters and stuff are on the floor and all the parents are in the bleachers. But what he said to me was, we really want to hold it here so that people will stay in Clewiston and people will spend their money in Clewiston, and people will, instead of just the boat, the captains and the kids are coming in, going out of Clewiston, and have the families actually stay here. So it's a big deal, and it's more year-round than you even think, because I know that they're doing tournaments right now, but this is in June. So I know Market on Bond and all that stuff is usually not running during that time, but we could maybe figure out a way to have more events, like even during the summer, so that we're able to get those people here, because that would be a lot of people staying in our town.
We've had that event in Clewiston before, and they fit in the, first of all, there's no 800 people. I said what I said. And we just got back from, we're in state in Bainbridge, Georgia, and they had whatever technical college, it was but they had a big, and that place wasn't full. I think the John Boy could accommodate it.
Okay.
So I don't know.
We've
what
had a
you think.
couple of
400,
youth things in the John Boy before. I know, because I've been
that was
with
just the big fishing
tourism,
one, right?
and I mean, it'll be packed, but it was, it's good. What's that?
Didn't they just have a fishing one in the John Boy about a month ago? I mean, I rode by there. I saw
Like
200
wounded,
boats outside.
was that Wounded Warriors or something?
Yeah, I think they were just doing like a charity event or something inside.
Yeah, that's a much smaller event, but yeah, that's.
But like the state championship, it does whittle it down because everybody doesn't make the cut. So, but I don't see 800 there. But I think
Grandma, Grandpa.
we
Yeah.
can accommodate it.
Especially with kids.
Yeah.
If the high school
we got a
doesn't
lot.
work out, Evangel has a big gym too.
I know some people in the school system, so maybe I can help lean on and see if we need that.
Does the fairgrounds hold?
Oh, I forget about that one.
That's
That's
another one.
Then you
that's
have-
another
I
good
mean, then
facility.
At which point you can actually have the kids come in on their boat, you know what I mean? Like they can do a
That's-
whole indoor, outdoor,
That's super smart, Jason.
awesome.
Super smart.
No, it's clever. I like that.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
I just don't know how many it holds. I don't know
It's a
what the
pretty
size.
big, it's a
Yeah,
pretty
I
big
think it holds a little
facility.
more than the auditorium.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But you also have that barn. I mean, there's
Yeah.
just all kinds of
Extra space,
extra space.
Yeah, that's solid.
bring in an event.
Can talk to the fair board, I'm sure.
You know
they would.
somebody?
Yeah, I know.
Lisa Kelly.
They just wrote this in. We'll go on a burger strike, tell them.
So
We were
I,
asked to do the cook shack earlier.
I appreciate your receptiveness to what I was saying, and I, again, want to just give you kudos for getting fired up about this and getting this
So
reinvigorated.
you're gonna give Danny the information, and then, Danny, are you gonna, the
I'll
fair
go to him.
board and
Yeah.
you, and with, Ashley here, so we
Yeah.
can figure this out?
Sure.
Thanks for that input.
Thank you, Stephanie.
We can put
My
it on
pleasure.
the-
I love giving unsolicited advice. It's my jam.
But before we leave, Mayor, the last topic is the lien searches and fees. I want to talk about that, just to give you all, a kind of heads up. A few weeks ago, we discovered that, we have not been charging for lien searches. And it's been in place since 2016 at $40 a parcel. And I've only had lien searches under me for about a week or two, and I've done way more than I would like. So when I told the person that we were going to start charging, they were like, "You've never charged. When did this happen?" And I went back and researched, and we have a fee schedule that's in Municipal, and it states from 2016 we were supposed to be charging $40 a parcel. So if we did an average of $50 a month, that is almost $2,000, $24,000 a year. In 8 years, that's $192,000. We have
Left on the
costs
table.
left on the table. So with that being said, I've done some comparison on lien searches, and the average lien search now is $125 a parcel. If you want to expedite it, it's going from $150 to $200 per parcel. So I wanted to bring a new fee schedule. I was going to get with Travis and just look at our fees and just change them, all of them. And then do an ordinance and resolution so that they can be approved. And not just with lien searches, but with everything across the board, because it has not been changed since 2016, and we're in 2025. So I think it just needs an overhaul. So my goal is to bring the new fee schedule before you in February.
Who's in charge of collecting those?
Right now, the clerk's office have been collecting our $40.
You've
since I
actually had a
was-
few, right?
I sure have.
Awesome job, Lakeisha. Again.
So you've actually been enforcing it and taking it, oh, awesome.
So we've been collecting them for about 2 weeks. We getting pushback, but you know, I don't give up that easy. So we are getting the $40 in, and I have told them to look for an increase, because I just trust you all are gonna approve.
You gotta keep with the times.
So, that's something else I wanted
I
to
mean, I would
discuss.
think, I mean, you looked at other cities, I mean, they're on up there, so I mean, $100 for lien searches would not be unusual.
Like I said, some of them are, if you expedite it, which is in 24 hours, they are literally charging you
Double.
$200.
I do think it's important that we look at communities that are like our community.
Right.
You know, we want to look at similar layouts, but no, we don't need to be doing it for free.
In certain things, I really do feel that you need to look at a community that has almost your same budget or your same demographics. But certain fees,
Sure.
I mean, lien searches, they're not paying for that, but they want to know the information. That's across the board, whether you're in some small
Okay.
town or very large. But I do understand with certain things that we do look at demographics that are comparable to us
Yeah.
when it comes to, like I said, average income, budget. But we have a nice sized budget when there are cities that's smaller than us that have larger budgets. So it really depends on what information we're trying to receive in regards to how you compare yourself.
Oh, thank you for enforcing that.
Looking into it. I mean, I had no idea we weren't charging for lien searches.
I'm just trying to I think whether it's been turnover or sometimes certain things get lost in, I call it translation. And I just happen to be like, what we do? And then I looked at it when the person inquired about it. Someone else probably thought we were doing it and we weren't. So I'm just trying to make sure that we all are on the same level and on the same playing field. So that's why when we pass this, we'll send it out and everybody in the city will know that these are the fees that we charge.
Hey, anything else?
I think we're good, Mayor.
Bad, we finished before noon. Okay, looking forward to getting the information at the next meeting. And we
And just
will,
continued
we have
updates on what we talked about, because we have talked about a lot, and I'd like to see it, implemented and move this forward to get this done. Because I think that redevelopment of Highway 27, in the blighted areas, we should, and don't forget about the sunset on going forward on things. I think it's important
I agree.
that we need to
Definitely.
sunset some of these things if they don't get it done within a certain time, especially with the
Shorter than
CR
longer.
matching program that it's got to be done. And I used, Travis, you said up to 3 years on some of these, but,
Facade program.
yeah.
And
But
think about your-
demolition or even special exceptions through the,
About your murals, if you're gonna get a mural,
Right.
doing those, I know we had that original conversation, there had to be get Dylan involved with the agreements, because they can change ownership and they have a corporate color, and all of a sudden your mural that you spent money on is gone.
good point.
okay. If there's nothing else, we are adjourned.
Good discussion, guys.
Bye, everyone. and thank you, Sam.
Bye, Dylan.
Thanks, Dylan.
Thank you, Dylan.
Forgot about him. Poor guy.